Maayong Buntag Wonders, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something really different that I've never done on this channel before, but it's actually been a popular trend on YouTube as a whole for, years at this point. We're doing a tier list of all the tourist spots that we've been to here in Cebu. So obviously there's going to be more. I'm just including the things that we have videos for. This video is going to be really different, like I said. If a lot of you guys don't seem to like this sort of thing, then in the future I may just upload more of these to We Wonder More, but I want to try it here on the main channel, and you'll see why, because I think it will be really beneficial to those of you wanting to come to Cebu. All right guys, so this is a tier list. If somehow you've never seen a tier list before, which you never know, basically it's just a ranking. So anything that gets put at S, for example, I can grab this down here, move it up to S. That means it's the best of the best. This is a must see. You must visit this spot when you come to Cebu. Anything that gets put in F, let's say I put this one in F, it's not as good as it looks. You don't need to go there, just straight up skip it. F means skip it. Anything in between, make a decision based on your budget and the amount of time that you have in Cebu. So we'll be ranking 75 or 76, I think, spots that I have down here. The reason that we are doing this is because we often just post videos talking about different spots and showing them off, but we don't ever actually lay out, if you've only got a limited amount of time, which most tourists will, what should you see? What should you prioritize? I think this will actually be really helpful for those of you coming to Cebu on a limited schedule. So before we actually jump into ranking, I want to make sure you guys know that all of these are tourist spots in Cebu, meaning that we're not ranking hotels or resorts unless I think it's a really cool just as a tourist spot that you can do like visit for a day, like day use would be really cool. But I'm not ranking these based on like staying somewhere overnight. That's not included. I'm not ranking any restaurants like based on food. There are a couple of restaurants on here, but they're only because maybe like the view is amazing. There's something there that's worth like visiting besides just the food. So the first one is Tops, one of the most famous spots in all of Cebu. Everybody recommends to come here. We're gonna put this at I think it's a B. I think it's a B because it's not like crazy over the top, gonna blow your mind, but it is a really cool spot to visit. Okay, it's a B at sunset. In the middle of the day, I'd take it down to a C or a D, but we're gonna throw Tops at B. So next up is Treasure Falls. This is easy for me, no doubt. This is S tier. I really like it. Some haters are gonna say it should be lower because they had added concrete in to like define the falls a little bit more. It's not totally natural. There are natural parts to it, but it was like assisted by man. And some people don't like that, but they left enough natural stuff. It's really cool. I definitely think it's S tier. Another easy S tier to me is Budlaan Falls, no doubt. If you're in Cebu City area, this is found along the Trans Central Highway, the best waterfall without going down to South Cebu. It's a pretty easy hike to get there. I mean, it's a little bit. It's a hike, but it's not that bad. Also, we could move some of these around later if like I change my mind. This one is Panagsama Beach in Boal, possibly the most famous beach in all of Cebu. Actually, I'm gonna put this B tier and I'm gonna move Tops down to C. This is B because it's not much of a beach, but it is beautiful. You can see turtles there. You've got the sardine run. It's just a nice place to hang out, relax, built up enough like as a tourist town, so there's places to eat and things to do, but it's not like crazy like Boracay, something like that. This is Cambayis Falls. This is a pretty cool waterfall, I'm not gonna lie. For the moment, like it's two tiered, so there's two different spots to visit. The second one I think is cooler. For the moment, I'm gonna drop it at B tier. We might move it up later, let's just see. This one is Kabutongan Falls in South Cebu. This one's kind of like a mini canyoneering. I really like it. I would definitely rate it higher than Cambayis. It's got the cave at the end. A tier for sure. If Cambayis is B, then this is A. Okay, this one is, it looks really brown. The river's brown when we went here, if you can see that. This is Mulao River in Liloan. It's pretty cool, like walking along this river. They've got these really cool rocks here. It's something you could maybe see in other countries, but you don't really see things like this in the Philippines very much. You can normally swim here. The water's normally not brown like this. And there's some really huge stones that are pretty cool. Honestly, I'd rate it like C tier overall. It's one of the coolest things in Liloan. But like in all of Cebu, I cannot like put it up there with some of these other spots. They're just pretty cool. All right, this one represents Malapascua. There's a lot of tourist spots on Malapascua, but when we come to other islands of the Cebu province that aren't attached to the main island, if you're gonna go to that island, you're probably gonna do like most everything there anyway. I'm just ranking the entire island as one spot. Malapascua is easy S tier to me. Super cool, super worth it. Loved it. Some of the best snorkeling. The beaches are amazing. It's small enough you can walk across the whole thing. Next up is Terrazas de Flores. Probably my favorite garden in Cebu. But when comparing it to everything, like I love gardens, but if you got limited time, this is tough for me. I'm going to put it B tier for right now. I might move it up to A tier later. I really like it. It's not S. It can't be like guaranteed you have to see this, but if you like gardens, it is. Okay, this is Linutud Falls. I love this waterfall. It was a really cool trek to get there. We got lost, but I'm going to throw it down on C tier. You don't need to see it. If you got extra time, it's cool. It's one of those off the beaten path waterfalls. This is Lataban Hills in Liloan. Actually, I would rank this higher than Bulao, so I think it's gonna be, or maybe it's right along there. It's a pretty beautiful spot. It's just, the thing is, we're gonna have more peaks later that just like blow this out of the water. So this is gonna be C for now. Real Imagination Garden Center. I really love this spot. I think it's super cool. You can get some awesome pictures that don't look like Philippines. But that being said, if you've got a few days in Cebu, I really hate to put it F tier because I do like this spot. But there's no way I can recommend like a foreigner just as a couple days here to go here. So I'm super sorry. I love this spot, but if you got it longer, if you're gonna be here for a while, you should visit it. This is Hermit's Grove in Aloginsan, South Cebu. I love this beach. Yeah, A tier where I dropped it. I'm gonna put it A tier. There's really cool corals to see there. The beach isn't huge, but it's just so picturesque. It's so gorgeous. This is the Taoist temple. It's got the cool dragon. You may have seen pictures online in Cebu City. I'm gonna put this D tier. I don't think it's that important to see. The only reason I'm putting it D tier and not saying 100% skip is because you might want to get the picture with the dragon. It's kind of cool. A lot of people get it, but if you're not into that, then skip it. Boho River Cruise in Aloginsan. Of course, what's cool about Boho River Cruise is that it kind of looks like El Nido, but in Cebu. But it's only kind of like El Nido. It is cool. The water is really blue. It's really beautiful. I would put it at a B tier. I think it's definitely up there, something you should consider, but it's not like a must do. Of course, if you're going to Hermit's Cove here on the A tier, it's right by Boho River, so might be worth doing both of those on the same day. Canyoneering at Kawasan Falls. I actually have Kawasan Falls themselves and the canyoneering as two different things. Canyoneering, I'm putting it at S tier. Obvious. Of course, this was before Odette. I should be clear, I haven't been back to all these spots to make sure they all still exist. So I visited them before Odette, so hopefully everything is still there. I know you can still go canyoneering. I know it looks a little bit different now though, from what I've seen. A lot of the trees and things have been knocked down, but you can still do it, and I'm sure it's still S tier. It's so fun. Next up is Kandungao Peak in South Cebu. Really awesome peak. I love the view from it. It's so dramatic. It feels dangerous. It's a little harder to climb. There's a little cave there. C tier. I think it's pretty cool. Guys, I forgot to get a picture of Osmeña Peak. That's my bad. Osmeña Peak, I would rate D tier. Actually, I mean, it's super cool. If you can go when it's like foggy, I haven't been, I've seen video, then maybe it's A tier. But for when we went, I actually liked Kandungao Peak better. Okay, this picture, I don't know what happened to it. This is Aguinid Falls in South Cebu. This does have like a canyoneering aspect. There's multiple levels. You're going up though, instead of going down like you do in Kawasan. If you're like into canyoneering and stuff, and the falls are pretty cool, though it's smaller, I think it's S tier. This is the Hidden Falls. I can't remember the full name. Starts with a B, but this is really close to Aguinid Falls. Very close. Most people will go to both of these at the same time. B tier. It's not like, it's pretty tall. It's a really tall waterfall. It's cool to swim at and hang out, but it's not as exciting as some of these others to me at all. This one represents Dao Falls, which I don't have a better photo of for some reason. That's tough for me if it's A tier or S tier. Because it's really good. It's really good. Honestly, I don't know if I can recommend Aguinid and not recommend Dao. So I'm gonna recommend Dao as well. It's not about the waterfalls, mostly the trek back. The water is so freaking blue there. Kind of incredible. cool. Another easy S tier, Inabacan Falls. A lot of waterfalls making it into S tier, man. But Inabacan Falls is just gorgeous. That's my favorite waterfall in South Cebu, without a doubt. So if all these others drop down to A, it would still be S. It could be an S plus, man. I didn't make an S plus though. Okay, this is Montpeller Falls, also in South Cebu. Montpeller Falls is cool. It's gonna be B tier. There's not gonna be nearly as many people there, but it's not as shocking. It's not gonna blow you away like some of these other falls will. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think I'm gonna move Aguinid to A and Dao to A, because they're just not as good to me as Inabacan. That looks better to me. This is Concalanog Falls. I always have a hard time saying this one. Concalanog Falls. I don't know why it's called falls. It really gets your expectations up. It's not really a waterfall. You see something there, but that's just like a little drainage pipe thing. The reason this spot is awesome is because the water is the clearest I've ever seen in my entire life. It's insane. It's an awesome spot to jump, just hang out. I was pretty disappointed when we very first walked up, but after just swimming there for a few minutes, it became one of my favorite spots in South Cebu. They offer some sort of a canyoneering thing there that I haven't done. You should ask them about that. A tier, or maybe I should put it B tier. This one represents Camotes, all of Camotes. I know there are 3 different islands in Camotes, but I gotta put Camotes at S tier. Of course, Camotes is great. There's so much to do in Camotes. You should take a couple of days, just go jump around Camotes. This picture actually represents Tulang Diot. Amazing. Like, if you can go early in the morning there when there's no one else there like we had it, definitely you gotta go to Camote. All right, and then immediately after Camotes we have Bantayan Island. People are gonna be mad at me for this one, but I'm putting Bantayan at A tier. I like Malapascua and Camotes better. Izay also liked them better. We may have just had like a weird time at Bantayan and need to go back. I think it's a cool place, but personally, I think if you gotta choose between the 3 islands, Malapascua or Camotes, Florentinos, this is another one of those gardens along the Trans Central Highway. Not as good to me. The view is really, really nice, but it's not as good to me as Terrazas de Flores. I'm gonna put it C. It's all right. If you're already up there in the Trans Central Highway, it might be worse. Actually, I'm gonna drop it down to D. It's tough for me. It's between a D and a C. This one represents something that still not a lot of people know about, which is the man-made forest of Cebu. It's in Toledo. It's like the one in Bohol, but it's a little smaller, but apparently it's older. D as well, because it's definitely not worth going out of your way for, like the one in Bohol is. I think the one in Bohol is so famous because you don't go out of your way for it. You just pass through it on your way to the Chocolate Hills, so everyone sees it. This one, there's a few things on here that you would need to pass through this for anyway, so you may see it anyway, but it's not something you should go out of your way just for this. All right, and of course, the very next one is the one that you would be going to that would bring you through the man-made forest. This is Udlom Falls, one of the more unknown waterfalls here in Cebu. It's in Pinamungahan. It's definitely worth seeing. C tier. It just doesn't look that great for swimming. I think you can swim there, but it is one of the tallest waterfalls in Cebu, and it's not that hard to get to once you've already made the drive. The drive's a little hard. There is actually a cave near here that you can crawl through, which again, I don't have the picture for. Some things we just didn't have pictures for, so I forgot to get them, but it's the same. It's like a C tier. Everything up in there is like C tier. It's cool, but don't prioritize it. All right, this is Kasili Spring in Balamban. D tier. Maybe F tier. I think it's cool, but like it's really blue. The actual like information about the spring is cool, that it goes underground and becomes like a flooded cave down there, and that there's apparently a lot of eels, but actually visiting it, especially if you don't have that long, is no reason to go out of your way for this. Mount Manungal, one of my favorite mountains in Cebu. A tier. I think it's really cool, especially if you can get it with the fog. Super worth it. Okay, Olongo Island. Olongo Island, this has got to go S tier for me. I love Olongo, but Olongo's different. If you go to Olongo, just remember it's not going to be as crazy exciting as some of the other islands. It's more about going there and doing some island hopping off of Olongo, doing the snorkeling there, which is really cool, and then just like exploring the island like on a bicycle. It's a really small island. This is the Dragon Fruit Farm in Liloan, Cebu. I gotta put this D tier, or yeah, D tier. There's no reason really to go out of your way for this. It's cool if you're going by like for something else. The only reason I'm not putting it F tier is because you might be interested to see what a dragon fruit farm actually looks like. It was fascinating, and we really did enjoy our time there. To go out of your way for it, no way. I can't put it higher than D. Again, in Liloan, this is Apollo's Grounds. It's better than I'm putting it C. It's better than the dragon fruit farm, but only at sunrise. Again, in Liloan, this is Lanigid Hill, which is actually located in the same area, barangay, as this one, the Mulao River. So it's in barangay Mulao. Yeah, like the same as Apollo grounds. Like, I actually think it's slightly better than that, but still, like, going out of your way for... Okay, if I think it's slightly better, let's go B. This one as well, the Hanging Bridge in Mulao. These are all three. So the Hanging Bridge, the Peak, and the river, they're all three in the same barangay. So if you want just kind of a really adventurous day of doing something that almost no other tourists are gonna go out of their way to do, I think it's cool to go to Mulao and see all three of these. But we're ranking these individually. So the bridge itself, I put it C. Or I'd put it D. I'd put it D. Because it's falling apart. It's gonna give you a thrill, maybe, if you're afraid of something like that, like walking across it. But it's not so long. Pretty out of the way. The barangay itself is beautiful, the view. But next up is Kangangawan Falls in Katmon. It's a bit of a mouthful. When we went, it was brown because it had been raining. Normally blue. It's not that big of a waterfall. D. There's a reason you might want to go here if you're visiting another waterfall that's nearby. But going out of your way just for this waterfall, I mean, if you want an adventure, do it, but it's not really worth hunting down. The other waterfall you might be hunting for is this one, Tinubdan Falls. There was a flash flood here in 2021. People lost their lives. It was very dramatic. There was big news and it was happening around here. We went there before that happened. In our experience, we absolutely loved this spot. Personally, I would put it A tier off what we saw, but as far as I know, it might be closed now. I don't know, and I need to warn you, history has shown that it is prone to flash flood, but when we went, it was safe for us at least, and it's one of the most famous spots in all of North Cebu. So for that event, a lot of people went there, but like I said, I'm not even totally sure if it's open or not. If you want to go here, do some research on it, but I would put it at A tier, and I think, like, excluding the event that happened there, easily the best waterfall in North Cebu. This is Ibabao Mountain Resort in Liloan. I'm gonna rate it C. I really like it. It might be cool to stay there overnight, but we're rating it on just day use. I don't know. It's just another pool and a mountain resort. There's other mountain resorts. It is cool. If you got the time, it's probably worth staying at, but coming for one day, I don't know. The other one right by there is Little Santorini Mountain Resort in Liloan, which I really like. B. A little bit over Ibabao. I like both. There's more to do at Little Santorini. Their food is really good when we went there. I mean, the food was good at Ibabao as well, but I liked it even better at Little Santorini. This is Gatubod Spring Resort in North Cebu. This is D tier. I can't 100% say skip it because it is fun, but personally, the one that I would skip that's right by Gatubod is Green Lagoon, the next one. I'm gonna put that on F tier. You might have fun going here, but personally, just skip it. There's a lot else to do. Middle Earth Mountain Resort. I actually like this place. It's really fun. I wish they had rooms to stay overnight. Really sad that they don't. It's kind of hard for me to recommend you going all the way to North Cebu for this, but if you're already in North Cebu, I'd rate it A tier. I actually really like it because there's a waterfall there, there's slides, there's so many pools. They don't have food, so you have to bring your own food, but as far as these types of like local style resorts go, I really like this place. Durano Spring Eco Resort. I'm putting it S tier. Haters gonna hate. I love this. I love this. This spot is so gorgeous. A bunch of like cascading pools that they built deep in the forest. Beautiful setting. And then there's the river going by, like raging by right next to it. There's just something about being there and experiencing this place that for us at least was magical and like S tier. And another easy S tier is the Safari. Also in Carmen. These are both in Carmen, North Cebu. Safari is world class, straight up. One of my favorite like zoo type safari things that I've ever been to. I've been there twice. If you're not into doing something like a safari or a zoo, like on your trip to the Philippines, that's understandable. But if it is something you might be interested in, it's totally worth it. Ongon Falls. It's hard to find. It's the most unknown waterfall that we've ever featured on the channel. I'm not going to say it's the most unknown in Cebu because the most unknown, I'm sure we don't know about it. But this one was hard to even discover existed at all. Probably not worth it for you to track it down, but it is a pretty cool waterfall. I'm going to put it at C tier only because like the effort you're going to have to go through to track it down and get there, probably not worth it. This is Cascades Compostela F tier. You can skip it. It's okay. They've got a beautiful lake. The pool's big, but there's other pools. There's other places to swim. I don't really think you come somewhere like Cebu to go in pools. Tabla Mountain View in Liloan. I have to put this higher than Lanigid for sure. Where did I put Lanigid? B? Okay, maybe I need to bring Apollo down to D, Lanigid down to C, Tabla Mountain View at B. If you're looking for things to do in the mountains, I think this is the best spot in Liloan. Like, not even just the mountain view spot. That barangay in general is gorgeous. Like, driving around it. It's fantastic. And then we get to some of the S tier peaks. right here. Mount Capayas. One of my favorite mountains in Cebu. It goes back and forth with another one we'll get to later. You gotta go to Mount Capayas, man. It is so gorgeous. The hike is a little difficult for me. Maybe it won't be for you, but the view is probably the best in all of Cebu. I absolutely love Mount Capayas. This is Sea Turtle Lagoon Resort in Tabogon, B tier. It might be a good spot to stay in, maybe in North Cebu. The only problem with staying there is it's a little cut off from a lot of other places because the roads aren't that great, but maybe they're good now. They're always like trying to fix roads here. Maybe they're good now. Spot itself is really cool though. We just went for a day use and we really loved it. Big Blue Resort in Liloan, just skip. F tier. I like it a lot because it's near where we live. It's a really cool pool to go visit, but that's just it. It's just a big pool. Q Park is interesting because they're famous for having this giant Mama Mary or Mother Mary statue, which is really big and it's really interesting to see from afar. But I actually liked this place for just roaming around the grounds. The park is huge. I can't recommend you go out of your way for it, but I'd put it in C tier. Like if you're up in the area anyway, it's pretty easy to get to. It might be worth just going in and checking it out really quick. Estaca Bay, F tier, just skip it. This is the place we went to that made us realize we didn't want to go to resorts for day use anymore. Locals especially go here and they really like it, but I don't know. For me and Izai when we went, we did not like it that much. Mount Mago. This is another awesome mountain and I gotta put Mount Mago up here. Oh man, is this S tier as well? Maybe A tier. That is so hard for me to choose. I'm gonna put it A tier for now because the view is crazy on Mount Mago on the peak, but it's not as dramatic as Mount Capayas. It's more about the adventure in Mount Mago. It's a far walk. It just looks really different from anything else in Cebu. The landscape there. It really feels like you're in like Europe somewhere. I don't know how to explain it. This is San Remigio, the longest beach in Cebu in San Remigio. A tier. I don't think you need to go completely out of your way for it. It's a beautiful beach, but like the snorkeling there is not that amazing. The beach itself isn't super built up, but if you want to see something really pristine and that hasn't had tourism like totally change it, like something like Alona Beach or in Boracay, then it is very worth visiting. This is called Busuang. I think that's Busuang Lake House. It's a little bit out of the way from a lot of other things you'll see. Probably the nicest lake I think we've seen, but you can't swim in it. There's some pretty cool stuff there. It's neat to see. If you're passing by, it's probably worth it, but yeah, I wouldn't go out of your way for it. I'll put it D tier. Montayupan Falls, easy S tier. Tallest fall in all of Cebu. Debated a little bit with Udlom Falls, but we're gonna say tallest. When we went, it looked, at least by eye, it looked really freaking tall. And there's another drop as well to see that's really beautiful, especially if it's been raining and it's really flowing. This waterfall is incredible. Swimming there, when we got to swim there, was incredible. You should see it. You have to stop in Bareilly to see this waterfall. Sirao, Little Amsterdam, C tier. A lot of people go here. Like if you want to get some cool shots for Instagram, then go ahead and come here, but I don't think you like need to see it. Very famous spot though. And another even more famous than Little Amsterdam is the other Sirao. There's two gardens in Sirao. This is the Pictorial Garden. They both belong in C tier. They're really similar. They're right by each other. I think you can totally skip it unless you really want to see those gardens and you want to get Instagram shots. If you're going to get Instagram shots, these are perfect. If you don't really care about that or you don't care about photography in general, it's easy to get to from the city. That's one of the reasons so many people go, but I don't know if it's really worth it if you don't have that much time. Okay, La Vie in the Sky. This is a restaurant, and I said we don't have many restaurants on here, but this is the one of the few that we have. I do like the food here a lot, but it's more like the atmosphere. This place is right by Tops. What's cool about it is just the view. Eat good food in a really nice restaurant and be able to overlook the city. I haven't been there at night, but it's probably incredible at night. B, I actually think it's kind of better than Tops itself. You have the whole restaurant vibe with it as well, and the food is really good. Lusno Falls. This is a waterfall down in South Cebu. You can have it pretty much all to yourself. It's not well known, but it's not super tall, though it is bigger than it looks like in the pictures. B tier as well. I really like this waterfall. I'm not gonna lie. And along with that, I'm gonna put Himbabawod Falls in B tier. Or sorry, that's A tier. Yeah, in A tier. I'm gonna put Himbabawod Falls and Lusno Falls in A tier. The only reason I'm not putting Himbabawod Falls, which is a really tall waterfall, multiple drops, there's multiple waterfalls on the way to find this waterfall. It's really one of the best in all of Cebu, but the only reason I don't put it at S tier is because it is a hike to get there. It's gonna take you a while. You might need to try to find a guide. If you don't go with a guide like we did, it's really easy to miss a turn and get get lost, but it is gorgeous. If you've got the time, you should do it, but it's gonna take you like all day to do just this one waterfall. But man, if you're into adventures and waterfalls, that's one to see. All right, we're getting near the end here. Charlie's Cup is another restaurant. I think the last restaurant that I have on here. The food at Charlie's Cup is nothing amazing. It's mostly like desserts and then like Filipino breakfast options, so you're not really going for the food anyway. It's more the view. I'm gonna put it D tier because it is cool to visit and see. There's another place right by Charlie's Cup, much more worth visiting. The view's a bit better. We'll get to that in a minute, and that's why it kind of pushes Charlie's Cup down. Okay, Temple of Leia. Yes, another mega popular spot in Cebu. Temple of Leia. Should you go to Temple of Leia? I think you should. I think I'm putting it A tier. I actually like it better than Tops. Going around learning the history of it, which isn't really what you would expect, but you can read about the history there. Just getting pictures that will like shock your family and friends. Like, what? That's in the Philippines? I can't believe it. The view as well is absolutely gorgeous because it is high up in the mountains. Maravilla Beach. This is S tier to me. I love Maravilla Beach. Gotta get that in S tier. No doubt. This is one of the best beaches. This is, yeah, one of the best beaches in Cebu, in my opinion. There's so much to see here. It's a long, gorgeous beach, pretty untouched, but there's also these ruins there of this, like, we think it was like a subdivision that like lost funding or something and didn't finish getting built, along with these amazing cliffs that you can jump. There's so much at this beach that I really like. Most tourists are gonna miss it, so you can have it kind of all to yourself when it comes to like other foreign tourists. JVR, you can skip this. JVR Island in the Sky. It was once cool. It's not been maintained very well. The years have taken its toll. It's not really worth seeing anymore. You could maybe go really quickly if you're passing by it. It is on the Trans Central Highway, just if you want to get pictures on this rainbow hanging bridge. It's the only one I've ever seen that looks like that. That's the only thing I would go there to see. There's nothing else really worth it. But right across from JVR is Buwak ni Alejandra. Is definitely one of the best gardens in Cebu. I'm gonna put this B tier along. Actually, you know, I'm gonna do something unprecedented. I'm moving it up to A tier, and I'm also moving Terrazas de Flores up to A tier. I think they're the same to me, though I like Terrazas de Flores a little bit more, but both of them are super worth seeing. Next up is Cambanog Falls. They call it newly discovered. Newly discovered waterfall. Very close to Luceno Falls. I like it about the same as Luceno Falls. Yeah, I would put this at A tier. It's really cool. It might be S tier, to be honest. Kawasan Falls, B tier. People just unsubscribe. I can hear your comments typing now. Most famous spot maybe in all of the Philippines, period, is Kawasan Falls. I love the canyoneering. Izai and I both absolutely love the canyoneering. We love the waterfall as well. That's why it's not lower. Like, the falls themselves are really cool, though I heard it's pretty different now after Odette. We want to go back and see what it looks like. This is judging it before that, unfortunately, but the only reason it goes down is because there's too much man-made stuff there now, dude. The things that the vloggers don't show you, literally, if you turn around, it's just packed with people. There's all these tables and structures and concrete, and it's cool to visit, but honestly, in our opinion, all that stuff really takes something away from it. It would be S tier. I find that stuff so like in the way and such an eyesore that it drops it down to B. But do the canyoneering. This is White Beach in Moalboal. Another very famous spot. A lot of foreigners will stay here. I don't like it as much as some of the others that I've ranked. C tier. It's a good average, a good mid. If you're in Moalboal, you should probably check it out. Don't go to Moalboal solely for this beach. I mean, I don't think anyone would anyway. Next up is Mangasang Falls. This is in Cebu City again. It's really an adventurous waterfall. We had a lot of fun with the guides going here. It was just a really fun day in general. Falls itself, unfortunately, I would put it D tier. No, what? I'll put it C tier. I'll put it C tier because it is really fun. We had a fantastic time. It's just the waterfall isn't that big. It's not going to blow anyone away, but it is a fun adventure if you've got the time. Esoy Hot Spring and Katingo Falls, I think that's what it's called. Katingo. But Esoy's Hot Spring for sure. I feel like it should go at S tier because you've got the hot springs, which are absolutely gorgeous, jaw-dropping, so relaxing. And you've got the waterfall as well, which is included when you go to the hot springs. They give you a guide to trek to this waterfall. But, oh man, I hate to take like personal like feelings into this, but we might have to drop it down to A tier because we had like real issues with one of the guides there. You can watch our video on that to hear about what happened with that. But it's like either S tier or A tier. We absolutely loved it other than this one thing, but I'm gonna have to put it on A tier because of that. Our final peak on the list is Mount Mauyog. Easy S tier for me. If Capayas is S tier, Mount Mauyog is S tier. The hike is not that hard and the view is really worth it. There's 2 separate viewpoints on this peak. Both are gorgeous. Highly recommend. Sachiko's Little Kyoto. I think this is an interesting spot. I'd put it at D tier because I don't think it's 100% worth skipping. There's some cool stuff here. You can get some pretty cool shots that will make it look like you're in Japan. At the end of the day, it is just like a themed area. Like, it's not something that's super unique to the Philippines. B resort. Now, I said there wasn't going to be resorts on here. We do have 2 resorts to do really quick though. This isn't talking about staying overnight. This is about day use specifically. We can always do another video about resorts and hotels and the experience staying overnight there. B resort does allow day use. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at C, actually right where it is. I really like the pool there. We really like the food. It was expensive, but it was really, really delicious. Their beach is small but nice. But that being said, it is like roped off like everything in Mactan is, so there's only a very small space. They allow you to use a kayak if you go there, but you can only kayak around this really small space. There is this beautiful like walkway, like boardwalk, whatever, out into the ocean. That is pretty cool, and you may want to get some pictures there. The Enchanted Mountain Resort, another one that a lot of people just come here for day use, but I do recommend staying overnight so you can see it in the morning. It's best seen in the morning. If you're not going to see it in the morning and you're just coming later in the day, I would probably put it B tier actually, because I still think it's pretty cool. There's this really long rope bridge. They have multiple pools. There's a lot to do there actually, and just seeing the castle, it looks totally different from anything in the Philippines. It's definitely best seen early in the morning. And the final one is the most recent spot we have visited, which is Lakeview Le Jardin. Higher than Charlie's Cup because this is the one that makes Charlie's Cup go lower. They're right next to each other. They both have pretty much the exact same view, but this one just has more to do and the food's better. I know we're not here to rate on the food, but I'm just saying it is. I would put Lakeview Le Jardin at B because I'm not going to put it at A or S as something you have to go out of your way to see. But if you're already on the Trans Central Highway, you want something to grab a bite to eat, you should go there because there's going to be more to do than just eat. The view is incredible. It's like something out of like a Disney movie. And that's it. That is our tier list. It's kind of all over the place. The ones that you should absolutely definitely visit on your trip in Cebu, according to We Wonder, are Treasure Falls in Argao, Budlaan Falls in Cebu City, Malapascua Island, Canyoneering at Kawasan Falls, Inambakan Falls in South Cebu, Camotes, Olango Island, Durano Spring and Eco Resort, Cebu Safari, Mount Capayas, Mantayupan Falls, Maravilla Beach, and Mount Mauyog. Those are our S tiers. I highly recommend you go to any of these. So that's it. This was a lot of fun for me. I know this was a long video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Hopefully it can help you on your trip in Cebu. And let me know if you didn't like it as well and you want, if I do more of these in the future, for me to just put them on the We Wonder More channel. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep wondering.